Hello! Every time, I gotta get better at the transitions on those stingers. I'm not good at them. Hello, everyone. Long time no see. I hope you've had a good, restful, maybe couple hours since we last saw each other. And I hope you are all doing well. We are back tonight. Hello, Hecate. Have you started on Payne's Creek Killings? I have. I imagine, I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that. Tonight, we are doing the tier list for the anime of the year. I'm currently watching Akira get very cozy on top of my computer because he's a good boy and he's very seepy. We're doing the top 25 anime of the year that I have seen this year. Not as many as last year. I think I don't remember how many did we do last year. Not yet. No, not yet. Planning to start tomorrow. It's good. I played it till like 2 in the morning. It was so good. I'm trying to see how fucking many we did last year. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. So we did 4 less than last year. And some of these are very simple. Like, they're very much sequel series. So it's a little bit easier to talk about. And I didn't have a ton of notes. So this is going to be a shorter of the 2 tier list streams for certain. Let me get this. Perfect. So this will be a shorter of the 2 tier list streams we have. So for those of us who are joining us that are new or need a refresher on the rules, kind of similar to what we did last night. At the moment, up until this moment, we had an auxiliary prize running of who could get the most correct of the top 5 anime of the year. That would get you, I think it was a 3-month subscription to Crunchyroll. No one was able to win it this year. I think the top one was 3. Outside of that, no one was able to get it. We kind of do the auxiliary prize and make it a little more difficult because we want you to win the big prize, and the big prize is getting the trivia questions correctly. We have 9 trivia questions for you guys tonight. These just kind of encompass things I've said on stream and so on and so forth. And to play, you join our Discord link, and then in our end of the year tier list channel on our Discord, I'll post these questions in a poll, and whoever has the most answers correct, you get a fat 1-year subscription to Crunchyroll, so I hope you use it and watch all the anime that you want. Who got 3 right? That would be Whist. Whist got 3. So, I am going to post the first question right away. And the first question is, what anime have I said is flawed, but is still one of my favorites? If I can fucking type correctly. Favorites. And option A is One Punch Man Season 1. Option B is Your Name. Option C is Neon Genesis Evangelion. And option D is Steins Gate. This is kind of an easier one if you've ever heard me rant about anime. I talk about this one quite often. Especially when it comes to ranking shit, I tend to talk about this one a lot. But yeah. So first question's in the chat. Or in the Discord, feel free to vote. And whoever gets the most of these correct by end of night, you get yourself a 1-year subscription to Crunchyroll, which is pretty big. All right. I do have the order of these done. I need to pull up my Word document. Perfect. All right. The first one that we are going to do is... Oh, I gotta also fucking pull up my Excel sheet. God, I feel like I'm at work. Is the Unwanted Undead Adventurer. So this one I watched. Let me see if I can get an image. I need to... New window. Are all of them your favorite and one is flawed, or is just one of... These are all on my favorites, so they're in the top 10 for certain, but one of them I have gone on record saying is deeply flawed, and but I still think it's one of my favorites. So the Unwanted Undead Adventurer, you might have seen this one kicking around occasionally. This is what the main character looks like, And the main reason that appealed to me was because the character looks so much like Corvo Otano from the Dishonored series of video games that I ended up actually watching quite a few episodes of this on a whim. And what it ended up being was very surface level, inoffensive things. It's basically, hey, it's your generic RPG setting. There is this adventurer who he gets killed and he resurrects as an undead, and by slowly but surely killing other monsters, he levels up and becomes less undead, becomes a lich. You know, he goes from a skeleton to an undead to a lich to stronger and stronger and stronger, and it turns out he's more OP than originally thought because he's classified in all these types of different magic, and of course he gets the big titty anime women and blah 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 blah. It's very surface level and is very inoffensive, right? I don't think it's memorable at all. I think it's kind of painfully average as far as like the story and the setting goes. But what it does make it stand out to me is that its animation is actually pretty damn good for a no-name fucking series, as well as the character design. From what I understand is that the manga and the graphic novel and even the not the graphic novel, but the book it kind of comes off of is very faithfully adapted, and a lot of people are super happy. And it's kind of made in the same vein as Goblin Slayer was, where a lot of people were really hoping Goblin Slayer gets picked up and is done correctly, and it was done very well here. So I do like the character design a lot, and I know I'm not the only person who's looked at this and said, you know what, that looks a lot like Corvo Otano, and I'm sure that some people out there would be like, yeah, they're very hyped to see this. For me, I watched, I think, 6 episodes, and I was like, I'm good. I looked up the rest, and I was like, I'm very good. I don't need to know. It's your standard RPG nonsense that eventually goes kind of nuts. The character design, the animation for being a no-name anime is good, and that puts it out of the average into the fine, right? Is it worth a watch? It's a throwaway for certain. I recommend at least 3 episodes to see if you're interested, but for me, it was just the character design was hard. All right. Let's see how you guys did on the first one. Oh, it is split. One Punch Man, Season 1, Your Name, and Evangelion are the 3 top ones at the moment. Oh, it's neck and neck. All right, next we have probably the darling child for a lot of people on here, and that's Solo Leveling, what I'm calling Season 1 of Solo Leveling. So, Whist has, I think do you have the first 2 or 3 volumes of Solo Leveling? It is a manhwa that got a lot of popularity and eventually got adopted into an anime. And first 3, okay. And they got adapted into an anime, and it is, speaking of generic RPG mechanics, it is just that. Imagine if you had the access to a cheat menu, you're just an NPC who gets access to this cheat menu, and you get to see your stats, and you get to point your stats into whatever direction you want to. Essentially, an NPC becoming a playable character in a game like Diablo. And the rest is just complete and utter aura farming. It is all about this guy who is just completely badass, aura farming his way to the top. He's overpowered as shit. He gets the bitches, he gets the riz, he gets the money, insane amounts of aura farming. And goddamn, is it fun to fucking watch. It is very fun. It is very action-filled. Some of the action sequences are really well done. Mainly the Ant King versus him is extremely well done. The power sequences, it is a power fantasy. It is very generic power fantasy kind of shit. He's very average, and then he gets buff. Every lady swoons over him and shit like that. It's not breaking ground as far as its story goes. I know how it ends, and trust me, it really doesn't break ground as far as the story goes. But it is a very nice to look at anime. Its soundtrack is also very, very, very good as well. So I understand why a lot of people really do enjoy this one. However, for me, I think I watched up to where I watched, and I said, you know, if I want to watch something that has a mainly action-heavy focus with a kind of decent plot, I'm going to watch JJK because the mechanics of JJK are a lot more interesting than that of Solo Leveling. Solo Leveling is your bog standard RPG system that is supplemented by some of the most insanely beautiful animation that they have at the moment because JJK is currently on break. That being said, I know a couple people were really excited, and I'm glad that this is getting the attention it deserves. I do not think it is worth all the hype. I do not think it's going to cure your cancer. I do not think it is going to bring your grandma back from the dead. I think it is turn brain off, watch pretty shit. If you are a woman, fall for Jinwoo because he is fucking shredded. He has like the 12-pack of the gods. Very cool, very fun. For me, yeah, it made me want to play Diablo. I like the music a ton. The animation is gorgeous. It's just goddamn, the plot is razor thin and the character development is razor thin. All right. Which I'm not gonna die. I'm not gonna shit on, guys. I like JJK, and God knows I don't think the story in JJK is that great. I do not think the story in JJK is that great. I am there for the action, and I have been saying that since pretty much season 1. It's like, okay, the plot's not great, but the action is god tier. All right, let's do another one before we post another question. Who is texting me at this late of an hour? Number 3 is Witch Watch. Witch Watch kind of came out of nowhere, and the reason why I started watching it, I only watched about 3 to 4 episodes, and I started watching it with Wist, was because we knew of a person that's voice acting this one. It was their first major voice acting role, and she killed it. She's actually the main lead in it, and it is the idea of a childhood friend, 2 childhood friends. One is a demon at birth, but is half demon, half like centaur shit, and he ends up being a human. But he has like demon strength, and the other one is a witch. And the witch went off to witch school for a long time, came back, they reunited as childhood friends. She makes him her familiar, and they are stuck and bonded together, and he has to put up with her ditziness. It is very cute, very fun. It's very lighthearted. For me, I think that's kind of where I would say, like, that's the big strength of this one, is how lighthearted and funny it is. It gives you that warm, solid, fuzzy feeling, like, oh, it's funny, it's very lighthearted, it's slice of life. I don't think they do the romance angle really well, you know? When I think of something like this, I think of, like, hey, Dragon Maid, they did action super well, they did romance very well. Witch Watch is just silly, goofy fun. It is meant to be satirical almost to a T, and they nailed it, right? But you can tell that they are lacking in some degree with it, and it is a very slow-paced, kind of by-the-weekly episodic thing where it's like, here's the next antic we get into, right? I don't think this is going to be for everyone. It is a very slow-paced kind of throwaway, where the Unwanted Undead Adventurer is kind of like, hey, it's generic as fuck, it just has one redeeming element. This one has a cool element to it where, like, hey, they nail the humor versus everything else is kind of to the side, right? Overall, I think if you're looking for a lighthearted one and you're looking for something to replace Dragon Maid at the moment, which is kind of in this fucking hellscape, this is a good watch. I don't think I'll be finishing it because I think it tries to lean more into the half-baked romance angle that it tries to do, and I'm not really interested in it. But it's definitely worth a lighthearted watch. All right. Next question for you guys. Let's see how you guys are doing with the first thing. It is still split down the evens. Wiz is posting a reincarnating as a slime gif. Wiz has been binged the entire series and the offshoot series of reincarnating as a slime. She loves it. All right. Next question for you guys. Which part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure... Bizarre... if I can fucking spell it right... do I like the least? And that is, you have option 1, which is what I'm calling part 1, Phantom Blood. That is Jonathan Joestar, I believe. When you get to Joseph, I exclude. To me, that is part 2, and that is the best part by far and away. Right? Diamond is Unbreakable. That's part 4 with Josuke. Then you have part 3, Stardust Crusaders, and I do combine part 3A and 3B. And then you have part 5, Golden Wind, which is with Giorno. God, that took a lot of brain power to get that one out there. So which one have I said on stream do I dislike the least? Or do I like the least? Excuse me. I like, for reference, I love part 2. I think part 2 is a masterpiece. I think it is by far and away the best thing they have ever made. I love part 2 so goddamn much, because back then it was about fucking figuring out with your mind and outsmarting your opponent versus fucking hitting them hard as shit. Good shit. Alright, next anime is Cells at Work. So Cells at Work is an old as shit property, right? I think this is a remake. Hold up, let me double check that. I want to say there's been 2 animes of Cells at Work. No. Okay. It's just been going on for a fucking minute. So Cells at Work originally aired in 2018 and went to 2021. I did season 1, and I watched fucking like 8 episodes of it just off a cuff one day, because I've heard nothing but good things about it, that for something so simple, it actually goes pretty hard, and I tend to agree. It is a very unique concept where every bodily system that you have inside of you actually has a persona and a personality behind it. So you follow mainly a white blood cell who is more of like the serious badass type, and a red blood cell who's very new to the delivering packages or nutrients around to you, who's kind of ditzy because they're very new to the system. And along the way, you meet platelets, which are kindergartners because they're extremely young cells that haven't gotten a function yet, and you meet all kinds of things, and half the fun is seeing how the writers of the show have adapted bodily functions and some of the systems that are inside of you into these personalities and such. It is a really, really fun and cool concept, and there are action scenes that actually do kind of go hard in it. I will say the first couple episodes is kind of goofy. It is definitely it's more of a parody and more of a satirical anime, if anything. First, if you've ever watched Bobobo, it kind of follows that line for me more than something like, oh, fucking beating the shit out of each other. But it is a really cool idea, and it's a really unique concept that I think you don't see very often in other things. And that's kind of what made me stick around, was I want to see the next thing. I want to see the next thing. I want to see the next thing. Now, why I eventually dropped it was that, hey, it did start slowing down quite a bit. We're not seeing all these systems. They kind of introduce a shitload of characters really early in. It's like, I don't remember these fucking dudes. And the jokes become kind of a slow burn. It's like, hey, this whole episode's the fucking joke, right? And that gets a little old when I'm trying to just get through it. There is a lot to digest here, and I'm sure that if there's... I mean, this is a very famous kind of fucking franchise, as far as I understand, over in Japan, and I know when it made it over to the West, there are tons of people who are really big fans of Cells at Work, and I get the appeal of it, and I definitely think that if you're looking for something lighthearted similar to Witch Watch, it nails it. I also think that it does its parody elements, its art design, its characters a lot better. I just think that where Witch Watch kind of focused a little bit too much into the angle they're weak at, this one's pacing takes a fucking nosedive really fast, in my opinion. Alright, what are you guys saying as JoJo's? A lot of you are saying I hate Phantom Blood the most. Okay. We have 1 vote for Stardust Crusaders. Alrighty. Moving on to the next anime, we have Dr. Stone Season 4. Where are you? Here it is. The Science Future arc. So, Dr. Stone, the first season of Dr. Stone is one of, I think, it's up there for me. I wouldn't say it's like my top, it's definitely not in the top 10, but it's like in the top 20 for sure. I really like Dr. Stone as a concept, where the idea is the world gets reset back to prehistoric times, essentially, and there's one very smart guy who's going to bring it back to modern age, because he just knows pretty much fucking everything. He is living, walking Wikipedia, and it works out super duper well. The animation is great. They walk you through a pretty damn realistic process of how things are made, engineered, bioengineered, everything. Season 2 came out, and they kind of said, fuck it, and they condensed a lot of it down into very short segments. They kind of said, hey, we're going to go from, like, we just discovered how to make a pump, like a very rudimentary pump, so that way we can pump air, into, we're going to make a fucking tank. And it's like, what the fuck? And because it took them so long to figure out how to make a lens. It took them fucking episodes, and then they have a tank by, like, 2 episodes later. And a lot of people, including myself, didn't like that approach where, hey, what was meticulous is now condensed into a very small path line, and we're instead focusing on what is the bigger threat this season, which in Season 2 was a war, Season 3 was this mysterious island, and Season 4 we have an antagonist that is very much like-minded like Senku, our main character, who is a living, walking Wikipedia page, who is more at the whims of, hey, I want to use science to benefit the world for me versus bringing the world back. I want to bring the world back, but I wanted to bring it back under my rule. So it's cool to see how Senku is just doing it for the love of the sport. He loves science so much, he just does not give a shit, really. Versus this character is very much, fuck it, I want to be the one in charge, right? And how he convinces others to follow him. And it's really cool to see how these two masterminds come up against each other. I did read the entire manga before the season came out, because goddamn, these development cycles are killer. And I think they adapted this one very faithfully. I wish the development cycles were a little faster, but the animation quality isn't suffering nearly to the part of like part 2 and 3 were, and it shows very well in this one. I will say I think that its popularity has died off significantly, like pretty much. I think I watched season 1 back in 2019, 2020, 2021 era, and we're just now getting around to this, and we have so much more to go before we get to the end. And if you did not like the condensed timeline, you are not going to like this season either. I think I like this one because it shows more getting back to that idea of, hey, we have to make this, but it's for the goal of we have to defend ourselves. It's not super simple, and it shows Senku thinking on the fly versus like, I need a tank, let's do this condensed build line, versus I'm thinking on the fly, and the invention he's making is a very quick solution, so it makes sense for him to kind of condense the timeline behind things, right? Overall, I think it is a good step in the right direction for Dr. Stone. I am very curious to see how they do the next couple of seasons, especially as we get into the more outlandish shit that comes about. But so far, it looks like they're just continuously working on it, and we'll keep going. All right, and now we take a nosedive into what was probably one of the best Season 1s into one of the worst Season 2s, in my opinion, and that is Oshinoko Season 2. Oshinoko is made by written by the same guy who is behind Kaguya-sama Love is War, and when Season 1 premiered, Episode 1 was at the top of my anime list for like fucking at least a week or two, and it was a very good season. I loved it a lot, and I think I went back and I gave it like a 9 out of 8 because it's such a unique concept to show how the idol industry in Japan is fucking corrupt as shit, and that there's a lot of external pressure on any kind of idol or any kind of public figure that we don't see. Like, hey, it's not just management, it's also your fans, it's also these like how the public perceives you, and that you have to keep two personalities kind of rolling at the same time, and how the unfortunate tragedies that befall do affect your family, right? And this one we kind of get more development of like how they're the two main characters, which are the late children of the main character's idols, which it's not really a spoiler because it kind of happens in episode 1, if not 2, of Oshinoko Season 1, kind of come about into their own way and how they're planning to kind of get back at society and go forward with it. With Ruby kind of becoming the... It's Ruby, right? I'm making sure because it has been a fucking minute. Aqua and Ruby, yes. Ruby becoming the idol just like her mom, and Aqua kind of keeping the mask on at all times and becoming an actor to do whatever it takes to get to the top to figure out what exactly is going on, right? And once again, this is a manga I read from start to end around the end of Season 1, knowing that Season 2 was going to take a fat minute to come out. And it was very apparent to me right away, hey, people are not going to like this one. Because, yes, the manga ends like shit, and yes, it does pull a weird out-of-nowhere supernatural twist. It is worth mentioning that from the get-go, it is a supernatural manga. They are reincarnated out of nowhere. There is a lot of weird shit going on, and you know that from the get-go, right? But as far as what the plotline goes, it is very much just kind of thrown away to the side and said, fuck it, we really don't care, we want to get to the next project. And that's kind of how this felt, is, hey, we forgot we had to make a Season 2, get through it, The animation quality, we're not really going to worry too much about like we did in Season 1. The characters, we're going to focus on a ton of smattering of introducing all these characters that people really, really liked in the manga. Give them, like, barely any kind of, like, character development. Make their lines not really well delivered and shit like that. Barely do them justice and then send it. And it just kind of sucked because, and I know that a lot of people were really looking forward to some of the characters introduced in Season 2. And because of that, it's kind of killed the entire idea. So if you didn't even know that Season 2 came out, this is probably why, is because it kind of flew under the radar, because I think, my personal opinion is, I think it's because the manga did so poorly near the end. It was one of those that kind of crashed and burned, that anything associated with the franchise is going to crash and burn with it. But the level of care put into Season 2 kind of shows that, hey, they really did not give a flying fuck. They're just trying to move on as well, but they are kind of beholden to it. Do I think we'll see this Season 3? I don't... Have they even announced a Season 3? Let's start with that. Yes. In fact, they have just about 20 hours ago given us the trailer, I believe. 1 month ago, a trailer, and then they've given us everything we need to know. So, yes, I think we'll see it here soon. I am imagining they're going to try to get through it as fast as fucking possible. Considering the fact that I do think this fucking season is... I think this franchise in itself is pretty damn cursed. But we'll see. I think it was fine. I think it is a... I think given the material that they have in the manga, I think this is definitely one of the slower arcs. I think there is more to it. And I think it is one of those humps. And Season 3, I think, will pick back up. And hopefully they do a little bit better of a job. So just get through it. Season 3, I imagine, hopefully is better. And I hope they do a little bit better job writing it. All right. I think it's time for our third question. All right, chat. This is a freebie for you all. And that is, what was an anime that let you down the most? It doesn't have to be a full-blooded series. It can be a season. Down the most. So for me, I think the easiest one to say is absolutely Seven Deadly Sins Part 3, Season 3, which was Wrath of the Gods. Is that the one? It's the one after the Ten Commandments appear that we waited like 7 years to get, and it just looked like shit and was absolute shit. That one was by far and away like the worst. Like, that let me down so much. What was... I need to rewrite that. I said, what was anime? I know a lot of people will probably say One Punch Man, Season 2. I know Demon Slayer Season 4 for a lot of people. There's tons of good options that just let people down. But, yeah, your guess is as good as mine, dogs. Your guess is as good as mine. But that is a freebie. Make sure you answer that to get your points. You sons of bitches. Shit, you can even say Dragon Ball Daima. I know a lot of people did not like Daima. I did not watch Daima this year. It gave me too many GT vibes, and I decided, nah. Maybe next year. All right. Next one we have is... How far away are these two? I think I will do these two together. I think I'm going to go out of order and do these two together, because they are Season 1 and Season 2, right? And that is Panty and Stalking Season 1 and Panty and Stalking Season 2. So for those of you who don't know, Panty and Stalking is an OG Toonami fucking anime that came out... Fuck. How long ago did the original one come out? Let me check. Like, yeah, 2010. It is an OG one that is crude, definitely reminds you of Newgrounds era, like, humor, and is very, very good. Someone who kind of grew up on the internet in the early internet days and spent plenty of his time on Newgrounds, this one really did speak to me, and I really did like a lot of the action scenes. I do like a lot of the humor. The animation style, I think, is known and very legendary, to the point where even like other companies are trying to mimic it. If you've ever played Zenless Zone Zero, they have elements of it that they try to mimic. There's tons of different things that try to mimic it. The voice acting is legendary. The action is legendary. The humor is on par with some of the best that is out there. I think, as far as one of Trigger's biggest anime, I don't think it's up there with some of the greats. I still think that Trigger swings for the fences when it comes to something like Gurren Lagann, depending on your side of the fence, Cyberpunk, Edge Runners is up there. But I do think this is one of their sleeper hits that they kind of don't get a lot of recognition for. I definitely think it's worth a watch. It is a very short season, and it's worth mentioning that between season 1 and season 2, we waited 15 fucking years. This came out this year. We waited 15 years, and it ended on a fucking cliffhanger as a middle finger to the fans because the writer thought it was funny, and it did keep in line a lot with the humor. If I had to say some of the flaws I had with it, besides its ending being a giant middle finger, is that some of the episodes definitely don't hold up anymore. They do struggle occasionally. They expect you to kind of agree with the characters at almost every point, and that you are to get involved with some of the weird tangential plot lines that the characters have. There is a romance between one of the main characters and a secondary character that they kind of expect for you to kind of get involved with and understand, when it just kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion. And it's like, I'm not really here for that. I'm kind of here for the funny humor. There are plenty of one-liners that kind of are vocal stems to me. How so, talking monkey? And I promise you, if you like crude humor, if you like that era of Newgrounds humor, this is a great one for you. And moving on to its season 2, it took us 15 years, came out of kind of fucking nowhere, updated visuals, updated VAs, sad, but I understand kind of why they went the direction they did, and a new plot line and everything with it. It's good. I'm going to start by saying it's good. Is it as good as the first one? I don't think so. I think it missed a couple of marks here and there. As much as the new VAs do put in an amazing amount of work, I cannot help myself but say I really do miss the original voice actresses for Panty and Stocking. I think when I think of those characters, I think of those VAs so much. The new VA, I don't remember the main character's name, but he was the overall villain in the first season, being voiced by the English VA Frieza, will always be stuck in my head, and now it's just kind of weird. They also add more main characters to the fold, which is great. They were originally like kind of secondary, if not main antagonists in the first, and they're now kind of secondary / main characters in the second, which allows for more antics. The plot lines range from like that same kind of Newgrounds humor that they're trying to bring back to more edgy shit. And sometimes it hits the mark, sometimes it doesn't, but you can tell that they're trying to...
Right now. I'm making piss.
Wistful Gremlin says it's time to drink water.
Thanks for the hydration check. You can tell that they're trying to hit that same Newgrounds humor, and sometimes it hits, and sometimes it doesn't, and that kind of makes sense. I don't know how much of the original writing team is on the new season. It has been 15 fucking years, and it does show. I appreciate the new visuals. I appreciate everything. And in true Penny and Stocking fashion, it does end on another cliffhanger that's kind of a fuck you to the fans. I don't think we'll be waiting another 15 years for a new season 3. I don't even know if we'll get a season 3. I do like, if I have to say one of the biggest pros, I do like how they immediately kind of very much in tongue-in-cheek with the humor is how they resolve the fuck. I'm having a strong dog. I do like how they resolve the hanging plot thread from the end of season 1, and it's just kind of like, oh, it's a big epic finale in the first season 2 episode, and then it's just kind of dismissed. And it sounds like shit, it sounds stupid, but trust me, if you know, you know, it works so fucking well, and it's so funny. I do not think it's as good as season 1. I do think the humor is right up there for me, though, and it does kind of make me feel like I'm back on Newgrounds occasionally, and sometimes I look out and like, god damn, that's kind of cringe. Like, it's trying, and it misses the mark sometimes. Not as bad as Rick and Morty humor, though. Alright, let's see what you guys are saying to your freebie. Vinland Saga Season 2, it's not bad. I understand the point of it, just wasn't my favorite. Yeah, Vinland Saga Season 2 is kind of divisive. I understand the point. I do like it a lot, because it's a very unique point. But I understand that's really divisive, especially coming off of season 1 being as fucking jam-packed as it is with the blood and guts and tits and shit. Demon Slayer season 4, Hashira training arc, yeah. Kill la Kill because the Plot seems like something I would like, but the lewd drawings make it unwatchable. Yeah, Trigger. That's one of the few ones I cannot do with Studio Trigger is Kill la Kill because it's just so weird. I know a lot of people consider it one of their masterpieces, but it's a 14-year-old dude. I can't. All right. Let's see. Let's move on to the next one. I gotta be making sure I get the right one here because one of these is different than the other. All right. This is Evangelion 1.0, You Are Not Alone. This is the first in the Evangelion Rebuild series. So Evangelion is a series I hold very dear to my heart, and Evangelion has like 1.5 million shit out there. But eventually the creator of it, I want to make sure I get his name very correct here. Hideki Anno. Hideki Anno did a rebuild series, and part of this rebuild is updating the visuals, updating the soundtrack, and updating the plot, which is controversial to say the least. There are, I believe, 4 films that I think the last one came out not too long ago, a couple years, about 7-ish, 6 to 7 years ago, and up to part 1 and 2 are kind of refreshes of the original series of Evangelion. With part 1 covering kind of episodes, I believe 1 to 13. Is that right? I have it in my notes somewhere. It covers up to a certain point, right? There's not a lot of added scenes that they do in this one. It's just kind of a refresh overall. And I have to state this because in true Evangelion weirdness is that there are some weird oddities when it comes to the version you do watch. And it usually comes down to, are you watching it subbed or dubbed? And I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's the old sub or dub debate, but there's actually more to it. If you watch a dub, there are multiple fucking dubs out there. They do have them on Amazon Prime, so if you have a Prime, you can watch them on Amazon Prime Video. However, Amazon Prime made the inexplicable decision to have their own dub of it, and it is trash. It is so bad that I could not watch it. It is inexplicably bad. All of them sound so weird that I decided to not do that. And keep in mind, this was before Amazon Prime did the AI dubbing of anime. It just sounded weird, and apparently the community does tend to agree that the Prime dubbing is really weird. So, before that existed a exclusive Funimation dub version of it, which was released back when Funimation was its own streaming service. And that one is almost fucking impossible to locate. Like, if you want a physical copy, because physical media is king, you are going to pay out the fucking nose for it. I'm talking 300 fucking clams for one fucking movie. I know there is currently a re-release coming, now-ish, in Japan only, so you still gotta fucking win the gacha system in Japan, so good fucking luck. But getting a hold of them is almost nigh impossible. I'm not gonna explain how I found one, but you can find a Funimation dubbed copy out there. It takes a fucking patient of a saint. I promise it's worth it. I did find mine. I watched my Funimation copy. It is so much better than the Amazon dub copy. So there's already a lot of hoops you gotta jump through, right? So I'm going to kind of weigh this between hey, how do I weigh it via Evangelion versus someone who's coming new into Evangelion, right? So let's start with the perspective of someone who really likes Evangelion and knows the original series by heart, right? This one does a lot better job showing the self-isolation that Shinji does. In the original, it's just kind of implied, hey, Shinji likes to isolate himself. He's in the hedgehog dilemma where he doesn't get close to anyone, but he wants to be close to people, but he's afraid to hurt people. And it kind of comes out of left field. It's like, okay, I guess. I mean, yeah, he's kind of a lonely fucking prick of a teenager who he's a fucking prick of a teenager. In this one, you see multiple times he goes out of his way to be alone. He does not want to be around people. And the relationships he does begin to establish, he keeps at kind of an arm's length distance, and they do a great job with that. One of the big things I did like about the original Evangelion also is the art style. It's that grainy VHS, very mechanical, early digital style things where they show how shit works, and I love that. And in this one, they do have added visuals that show you the inner technical workings of Nerve and how the Evangelions do work. That will never not be cool to me. I love that shit to a core, and the fact that they kept that in line is really cool. They also did update the visual, so you do lose a little bit of that like graininess that sucks for me personally speaking, but I know it's subjective because of stylistic choices. However, whatever. What I do not think is subjective is the audio redesign as well as the OST. You have Shiro Shigasu, who is doing the OST, goes fucking ham on it. And Shiro Shigasu, if you didn't know, he did Bleach. If you've ever heard any cool opera or orchestral soundtrack, you probably know his name. Maybe. He did Bleach and he did Evangelion, and he is the goddamn goat at what he fucking does, dog. These soundtracks are on my workout playlist as to how good they are. They also expand some of the battles between some of the angels in this one, where in the original series, it's maybe an episode, it's maybe a one kind of punch thing, one cannon blast thing, versus in this one, Ramiel gets his whole fucking shit. He's pretty much redesigned from the from the fucking everything up, and it's so much cooler in this one. Now, kind of coming back from a little bit of the Evangelion bias is that the non-combat visuals hop between looking great because they're updated to fucking they look really bad and they're not great. And like when you're just seeing the people talk, because a lot of this is talking, it's not all mech, it is about the people, they don't look great. And I am more of a fan of the older style, where even though it was made with pretty much the budget of a ham sandwich, the style stuck with me a lot better. And even though I had just got done ranting at how the Amazon Prime dub is trash and the Funimation dub is king, there are still some oddities to it. It's not their original dub like you saw with Evangelion Prime. This one does have some oddities to it, right? And I will say, overall, as a fan of Evangelion, condensing all of what you would consider part one into a movie, like pretty much a movie, is a tall order, and you can tell that they had to rewrite or just completely cut some of the scenes entirely for this pretty condensed timeline of about 2 hours. And some of it I'm a little upset, like, hey, you didn't get to see that scene, and they added some other scenes which help, but I also was like, hey, add in or reframe this. Didn't really help. I really wish they kept that. And some they're like, hey, that's a good idea to reframe it because it does show the isolation shit you did. Now, let's say I never watched Evangelion and I came in fresh and I'm like, hey, would I recommend you starting with this? And I absolutely fucking would. Yes. Because I'm telling you, it's a lot easier to digest an hour 40-minute movie than it is to watch fucking 24 episodes and be questioning where the fuck am I? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is happening? Right? I do recommend this if you're trying to get into Evangelion. I think that if you want more depth to it, I think it's kind of hard to say, like, hey, why do you connect so much with these characters? It's like, go watch the original and then come back to this, right? But I do think, as alone, it does have its own solid 2 feet to stand on. I think I appreciate it a lot more as an Evangelion fan, but I think it is solid on its own 2 feet. I would say, to me, it's kind of like, hey, if you are a big fan of Dragon Ball Z and you've watched the original Broly films, you really do appreciate the Dragon Ball Super Broly film a lot more. But on its own, the Broly film stands, like, on its own pretty damn well, right? Overall, I definitely think this is very good. I definitely was very excited to get into the second one. I did not end up watching part 3 and 4 this year because I'm still not ready to say goodbye to all of Evangelion yet, because I know, as far as I understand, that was it. That is the kibosh. They are not making any more media with Evangelion as far as TV shows or movies or shit like that. Instead, they are limited to doing gacha games and any kind of weird tie-ins as possible. Like, they did a fucking watch collab. They did a sneaker collab. Fuck, they did an Asus computer part collab because they need money. All right. Let us post another question in the chat because I just got done ranting about Evangelion, and that is it. All right, this one is a fun one and very topical since One Piece is now going seasonal. What is my favorite One Piece arc? Whis is currently finishing up through Wano. Option A is Whole Cake Island. Option B is Wano. Option C is Skypiea. Rip all the people in chat who have never seen One Piece. And option D is Marineford. Watch One Piece. One Piece is very good. I definitely think watch it with a filler guide. Watch it with a filler guide. It going seasonal is a big thing because there is not going to be nearly as much apparent filler. That is a big W for fucking One Piece. Because we are in the end game. It is going to end in the next couple, like in the next 2 to 3 years, probably. All right. Next one is dun, 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 Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto Days is a more lighthearted take on it is a more developed take on what I would say is fucking what is the name of that one? The retired Yakuza one that we really liked, Wist. House Husband. I have my list right here. Way of the House Husband. It has a more developed version of Way of the House Husband, where the main character, Sakamoto, is a retired assassin because he fell so hard in love with a woman that she promised him, made him promise to give up the assassin career path and just never kill people ever again, and instead help raise and give back to his community. And he did. He retired. He got very chubby, and he helped run their family store, had a cute daughter, and it's just overall wholesome. However, that's not acceptable because he was the world's best assassin. People are trying to hunt him down and kill him because they're mad at him. You don't just quit, you know. We're like, I'll bring you back in. John Wick style, right? Now, the thing is, he is overpowered as fuck, and they make it very apparent he is overpowered as fuck. And it's really, really fucking funny how they do it. Even though he is very chubby, they do it to a very funny extent where, like, he can just deflect things because he's chubby, but he's still extremely fucking strong. He can still fucking move fast as shit. And the reason why he's that fat is because his wife's cooking is just that fucking good. It is a very lovingly crafted anime with some of the most fun action scenes that are there. And there is a very deep plot that goes with it. I will say, my biggest complaint I have with it is that it is a very slow burn. It is extremely slow burn. There are some fights that should not be 3 to 4 episodes that are 3 to 4 episodes. The parts I think they do the best are the character writing, the individual characters, and how they bounce off of each other. Don't really work in the fighting segments, you know? When they're fighting and beating the shit out of each other, they don't really interact with each other too much. And instead they go on the action side, which, you know, is good for Sakamoto Days, but when you have things you're stacking up against, like fucking Dan to Dan and fucking Demon Slayer and fucking Jujutsu Kaisen, you're gonna fall short of every time. However, I do like the concept a lot. I do know that down the line we're gonna see more and more funny shit. I know it goes over the top very fucking fast, and I, for one, am locked in to see more of it. I'm hoping that they kind of get more of the pacing under control, and that the smattering of cast becomes a little more limited, because I know I had a very hard time kind of keeping track of who the fuck am I supposed to care about, what the fuck is their name, and it kind of comes hard. They don't really balance the idea of, hey, Sakamoto's in real danger, and you feel threatened when he's just that overpowered. Sakamoto Days might be my favorite of the year, but fair comments in my spot brain likes it. Exactly, yeah. I like it a lot, where I think an obvious one-off is Way of the House Husband, as well as it does have elements of One Punch Man, where One Punch Man Season 1 does a great job of sometimes they built these immensely powerful villains in front of you, and for some reason, even though it's a gag, where you're like, I don't know if Saitama can actually beat this guy, and yet he just comes in and he one-punches them every time. And Sakamoto Days, you don't really ever get that feeling like, I don't know if Sakamoto's going to win this one. It's just like, they're going to write some way of him winning. You know? You never really have that, and maybe it's because I don't connect with the characters nearly as much, but it's one of those things that I really think that their character development is the strongest thing, and how the characters interact with each other is so strong, right? All right, next is one that it was like number 6. True, you're just waiting for Sakamoto to jump in and kick some ass, but love the side characters. Exactly. Yeah, the side characters are done so goddamn well. This one is probably my number 6 best anime, and it was teetering on the edge between number 5 and number 6 for a long time. And at the end of the day, I think my reasoning behind why it's number 6 and number 5, I have a very niche reason, and that is My Dress Up Darling Season 2. My Dress Up Darling is a comedic romance style show about a very a very recluse type shy guy who meets his outgoing, very extroverted girl who loves to cosplay her favorite characters from movies and video games, and he happens to be extremely good at making these costumes, but due to some past trauma, he doesn't really like to show off these skills or even talk about these skills because he's afraid of what people will think of him as. So she helps bring out him of his shell, and he in turn helps her realize her dream. All the while, there is a romantic connection going on that for the most part is one-sided, but not in the typical way you think. She has a huge crush on him, and him not so much because he doesn't have a very high opinion of himself. The writing done in season 1 was fantastic. I love how the characters are playing off of each other. I love the set design. I love everything about season 1. It took a while to get to season 2, and I'm so happy we got this. Oblivious, yes, he is very oblivious. And season 2 came out, and I loved it. They stepped the visuals up. It is so much funnier. The visuals look so much better. The writing is better. The comedy is better. Everything about it is better. So you might be asking, hey, Jason, why is it not in the top 5 versus whatever the hell you are going to put in the top 5? And to me, the answer is pretty simple, is because I was able to stop watching this. I wasn't hooked on it like I was what is in number 5, where I had to keep watching. I was hooked on it. I was like, I gotta keep going. This one is pretty easy to put down because I think the big thing is, unlike in what we'll see in number 5, is that there is really no overarching plot thread that occurs in season 2 of My Dress Up Darling, right? Near the end, there's something kind of brewing in the background, but it's very menial drama that I think will resolve itself. There's nothing that is kind of this major plot thread, and from what I understand in the manga, you don't see that really occur. There's not really a whole lot of things driving it forward, and you're just there for the characters and their interaction. Now, where in Sakamoto days, I just said the same thing, where it had, hey, you got these fights and it derailed kind of the strongest element. There really isn't anything like that in here to derail that. They do spend a majority of time with your characters that you really like, and the characters that they do introduce, although limited, like, I think you only meet a handful, maybe like 5 to 6 new characters in season 2. They do develop, and they do teach you about them, and you get to know them very, very well, to the point where I'm willing to bet someone out there is like, that's my favorite character. What's their name? I don't fucking know, but I love them. You know, someone out there, that is their favorite character, and you can kind of understand why. It's because their personality is well developed, better than some of the MCs you'll find in generic RPG fantasy mangas. I just wish there was an overall plot thread that kept the pacing moving, because it does become kind of aware, like, hey, it's really hard to say, what arc are we in? Are we in the school festival arc? Because that's very much applicable to like 99% of every slice of life manga. What arc are we in? The beach arc? Oh, fuck, that's in everything, right? I need an overarching plot thread to keep me interested. And I know there is one later in the manga, but overall, I would say, like, hey, if you were one of those people that's here for the overall story, there's not really one here. You are here because the VA is great, the animation is great, the humor is great, and the characters are really, really good. If you did not like season 1, you're not going to like season 2. And that's why I think, hey, I have a very hard time saying this is going to be that thing that drives into the top 5. Because what I have at number 5, I can easily recommend to somebody, to like anyone who wants to get in the anime, versus this, it's like, I have a very hard time. And not just because it's season 2, because you'll be shocked what's in number 5, where it picks up. Versus this one's like, it's going to be really hard for me to recommend this one to anyone. It's very, very good. I really, really, really wish, however, that there was a little bit more of a story going with it. It's a faithful adaptation. Please do not take another fucking 20 bajillion years to give us the next one. The VAs, the English VAs, nailed it. Amelie does a great, great job as Marin Kitigawa. Everyone nails it. Keep it going. All right. All right, let's see how you guys are doing with the poll. One of you said Wano, one of you said Skypiea, and one of you said Marineford. Alrighty. We'll do another question, and then we'll post another poll. All right. Next is Bon. Bon is a short film created by Garnt, which is a OG anime review YouTuber who got his hands into the mix and said, you know what, fine, fuck it, I'll make my own. It is. I originally thought this was going to be an anime series or a longer anime film. It's like a 20-minute anime film that originally I kind of went in with like very little expectations. I didn't think was going to be too good. It was from like a little to no-name animation studio. I was like, oh, it'll be a really cool tech project, right? Really flex those creative muscles. It ended up being really good. The visuals are really good. They're nothing like exceptional, I would say. There are definitely plenty of backgrounds that I imagine you would use as your wallpaper on stuff, but they are what I would call kind of in between fantasy and traditional Japanese aesthetics. The characters, you mainly focus on two. And without spoiling too much, because I think there is a twist, and without getting in too much into the twist, I didn't see it coming, which is always a plus, is that the two characters kind of are presented side by side of how they differ in what they want in life. And it does kind of, even though it is in a beyond fantasy element, it is a ridiculous fantasy element in how it's presented. It is a very true to heart message that will hit home regardless of its setting, right? What are you looking for in life? And that, hey, at the end of the day, there is always a place for you out there somewhere, and someone to always will welcome you home, whether it's your family, whether it's your community, whether it's your friends, right? It is a very well done message, and it takes 20 minutes to get through. It is a short film with great voice acting, great animation. I didn't expect it to be that good. I really hope we see more of this type of stuff. I think overall, I don't think it could have. On one hand, I was like, I wish we could see more from the franchise. Like, I wish it could be its own franchise, but I also don't think that it could have much more to offer in its own right, you know? I think it is perfectly fine for what it is, if that makes sense, right? I don't think we could get much more out of it. I'm excited to see the next project, because if Garnt is the one who wrote this, let that man cook. He clearly cooked super well, and he can let him chef. That man cooks. I just wish we had more. I wish that throughout the story we got a little bit more substance through it, but that is kind of more owed to its 20-minute runtime, I think, than anything, right? I wish it wasn't. I think there was more plot threads to be done. I think you're going to walk away with a lot of the elements behind it saying, what is that? I want to know more about what's that in the background. What's that character? What's the purpose of this? What's the purpose of that? Right? And at the end of the day, there really isn't an answer, because it is a 20-minute short film, essentially, right? Give it a watch. It's a good little 20-minute watch that might bring some tears to your eyes and make you feel feels. Definitely worth it. All right. Let us post the next question in the Discord for you fools. This one is... Let's see if you remember this one, chat. What was the worst rated anime, in my opinion, last year in 2024? Was it option A, Demon Slayer Season 4, the Hashira Training Arc? God damn, it's a fucking long name to type. Was it option B, The Future Diaries? Option C, Rent a Girlfriend. God damn it. Season 2. Or was it option D, Licorice Recoil? Which one of these did I say was the worst one I watched last year, chat? I'm curious to see what you guys think. Alright. Next is one of the big boys of the year, Demon Slayer, the movie, Infinity Castle. I'm going to get this out of the way right away. I did not see this in theaters. I watched a not-so-legal version of the movie that someone had streamed. I got to see it in its entirety. I also have read the manga, but Demon Slayer is one of those properties that even if you read the manga, you need to watch the shit, because UFO Table constantly ups the ante with its animation and constantly shows you why tax evasion for them is a gift and not a crime. I am joking. It is a crime, but to them, it looks like nothing, right? So, Demon Slayer Infinity Castle is one of the 3 final movies of the final arc of Demon Slayer, and the visuals are outstanding. It's exactly what you expect. It is basically a blend of the final battles all together in one, and it is just nuts to butts action throughout the entirety of the movie. The visuals are stunning, and that's really what Demon Slayer is all about, isn't it? It is just a visual eye treat to the... It is a treat to the eyes with tons of visuals, with tons of flashy colors, and lots of cool swordplay. I've said many, many times that Demon Slayer's story is nothing special, and that the characters also are not really that memorable. And to some degree, I agree with it here in Infinity Castle. You get to learn more backstory about some of the demons, and some of it is kind of heart-tugging, but most of it kind of misses the point. I think flicking between a lot of the final battles is disorienting for a lot of people. What I really wish they would have done is kind of break up the battles a little bit more, but I really don't know how you would have done that. My personal opinion is I really wouldn't have done the structure they did, where it's 3 movies that come out several years, one right after the other, because I think you killed the hype. But clearly this one made like $1.5 billion, and everyone loved it, and including myself. So it was very, very good. I don't think you can walk in and just watch it. I think you need to know what the fuck is happening, and even then you need to refresh yourself. I think it shows that... I definitely think it shows that the last season was kind of like, hey, we need some filler so we can make these movies and get them rolling so that we can make this one really, really good. I really wish that they have put a little bit more time into the pacing of the fights between each other. I really wish that the characters were a little more developed, but it's Demon Slayer. You don't go into it thinking you're going to get that, right? Highly recommend watching it if you're a fan of Demon Slayer. If you are epileptic, rip, you're not going to be able to get through that one, because goddamn, they cook. All right. We are now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Chat, we are in the top 5 worst of the year. We're in the top 5 worst of the year. What will it be? Alrighty. Let me post... Do I have to post another question? What are we looking at? I do. Alright, let's post... This one is a freebie for you all. What anime do you wish would get a new season or a sequel? It could be one that's currently stuck in hell, like development hell, or one that maybe it just got a new season and that you're hoping doesn't have to wait for a new hell. Or hope doesn't get one. Personally speaking, I really hope we get a new season of My Dress Up Darling a lot faster than it took for season 2 to come out. That would be what I would say. Or maybe looking at it, no, I was gonna say Dan to Dan, a new season of Dan to Dan. Those cook really fast. They fucking announced that shit like instant. They cast that shit off fucking rip, dog. I'm curious to see what you guys say. All right, let's start with the 5th worst anime of the year. And this one kind of hurts to get into because I really liked season 1 of it. I thought season 1 was a really good showing, coming out of nowhere, out of left field, to the point where Wist and I would weekly watch this one. And season 2 came out, and Wist really wasn't interested. I'm like, all right, I'll watch it. I didn't make it too far in. I think I made it 3 to 4 episodes in, and I had to drop it because it felt like a fan fiction. It felt like someone inserted their own OC, and it just didn't work well. And that is My Happy Marriage season 2. My Happy Marriage Season 1 was a really cool, out-of-nowhere, slow-burn romance anime that took place in a very weak setting of a fantasy world that I lamented saying, hey, I don't think the fantasy world was really developed. It was an afterthought, and really they should have just never have developed that entire idea. It didn't need it. And Season 2, where I say it's like a fan fiction, is because you start off immediately where, hey, the main titular heroine is going to meet her fiance's family, and oh no, her mother-in-law doesn't like her. Oh, but she's actually this inheritor of all these special powers and shit. And it just feels like a fan fiction, dog. you also get more fantasy elements of the plot being brought in versus more of the two main characters kind of working together and working off each other, because the connection they do have is a very strong connection that I really did like in season 1, where one of them is cold and distant and the other one is shy and reclusive but loving, and it does work. That romance does work, and it does work very well. This one you don't really get to see that very often. In fact, Kudo, your main love interest, the man, is kind of cold and a dick at points to her, which really kills it really hard and makes it to be like, hey, I root for this motherfucker, right? I think there are some redeeming factors. From what I understand and read, it is a rough start, but it does get over the hump pretty fast. But if you didn't like the fantasy element of season 1 and you didn't like how it felt kind of OC inserting into season 1, you're definitely not going to like season 2, and that kind of permeates throughout it. I think, as someone who likes season 1 a lot, I did not end up liking season 2. It's on the cusp of being bad, but to me, it's like, hey, this is what I would call a painfully average one, and it's a fall from grace where I thought that season 1 was like, hey, season 1 was one of those ones you should definitely give a watch for sure, right? I think I gave season 1 like a solid, like, where did I put it? It was like an 8 or a 9, wasn't it? I don't remember. It might have been 2 years ago. Fuck. Doesn't matter. But it's definitely a fall from grace, and I'm kind of sad to see that happened. I want to see them come back and cook and try again, but I don't know if it's based on anything. I don't know if it's based on a novel. I don't know if it's based on a manga, and I don't care to look because I do not care for its exterior setting, right? All right. The fourth worst of the year is kind of a debatably an anime based on its style and the studio behind it. I'm picking it as an anime. It's The Witcher: Sirens of the Deep. This is a Witcher movie that Sarah and I watched off the cuff. I think it's based more on the books than it is the game. Fitting. It is boring, is a way I would put it. It is very boring. There are just plot lines that don't make any fucking sense. I understand Geralt in the games is a lot nicer of a person than he is in the books. In the books, he's a lot more of a hard-boiled egg. He's kind of a dick. He's kind of a guy who looks out for himself. But in this one, they show there's just parts that don't make any sense, and a lot of the conflict that can be resolved in this movie can literally be resolved by people talking to each other. And I don't mean like, oh, they won't because you hate me and I hate you. It is literally, hey, I have information that will literally resolve this issue. Man, fuck you. The plot demands we don't talk to each other. It is annoying as shit, and it makes no fucking sense for this fucking style of movie. It is so baffling that they have decided on the age-old, weakest-ass plot thread in this one. There is also some of the worst-looking action scenes I have seen in an animated film. It is a Netflix original, and it shows a lot at point. It looks like trash. It looks like shit. It also ends kind of on a wet fart, where it's like, that's the end. Go fuck yourself. Hope you like the ending, bitch. I know they have a ton of these Witcher films on the Netflix, but we watched this one on the off chance that it was good, and I'm telling you what, I don't want to watch another one. It's not good. It ends on a wet fart. I don't want to pick it up. If I have to watch another one, I really, really rather not. All right. Moving on to... How many more questions do I got? We will do another question real quick. I want to see what you guys are posting. You want another season of Castlevania? I think they would do really well with a Symphony of the Night. Condensed beginning seasons of One Piece with updated animation because Wano is so gorgeous and I want to see some of the beginning moments animated that way. They did announce... I mean, they are doing... Isn't it... One of the studios is getting involved with one of the new remakes of it, but I think it's following the live action more, is what I understand. Either way, new question in the Discord, and that is, which of these anime have I not seen? We've asked this question last year, and I am re-upping this question, different answers. And that is option A. We have Tower of God, Season 1. Option B is Casher and Sins. Option C is summertime rendering. Option D is Konosuba Season 1. Which of these have I not seen, chat? Guess which one. Alright. Moving on to the third worst of the year. It is one that is kind of somewhere in between. Like The Witcher, where it's bad, but it's not a Netflix original. There's more to it. But I think overall, it's kind of wild to see this kind of come out of nowhere. And I think knowing what happens next is just weird. And that's Four Nights of the Apocalypse, Seven Deadly Sins. Four Nights of the Apocalypse is the sequel series to Seven Deadly Sins that takes place in the after echoes of the Seven Deadly Sins series. And that's really all I can say to it, because the big thing about this, the big draw about it, is to point and say, cool, I recognize that character from Seven Deadly Sins. And if you know anything about Seven Deadly Sins, you know that it had quite the fucking fall off. And it didn't ever really, like, season 3 was really bad. Season 4, I said, it was not great. It was not bad, but it wasn't great either. It was kind of fucking mid. Season 5 was bad. And it just kind of ended terribly, right? And then they say, hey, all right, fuck it, here's Four Nights of the Apocalypse, right? And it starts off pretty fucking rough. And the idea is they do the same kind of shtick that they did in Seven Deadly Sins Season 1, whereas here's your overpowered MC, right? You don't know shit, you don't know why he's overpowered, you just know he's over-fucking-powered. He's ignorant, you don't know why, he's annoying as fuck, his personality doesn't mesh well with the things around him, and the other things you get are, hey, I know that character, he's from Seven Deadly Sins, cool, I got to see him. Oh, cool, here's another character, he's overpowered as fuck too. And you're somehow supposed to tear yourself away from the really cool, interesting characters that are on the side and focus on a pretty non-interesting main character. Which is a baffling decision. You know? I know, from what I understand and read the wiki on, is that, to me, he doesn't ever really get more interesting. Right? And the whole point of this is to kind of look and say, hey, I know this character because of their tertiary link to what's going on or what happened in the others, versus this character is just kind of this weird, almost fan-fiction-like character that's inserted into the world that is meant to be your connection to the world, right? Which isn't the worst thing, but it's just kind of a baffling decision to do a sequel series when you could have just very easily done a more in-depth prequel series. I know that we got a bit of prequel stuff in Seven Deadly Sins, but you could have fleshed that out a little bit more, right? I understand you want to move forward, but I just don't think this was the best move, and I really hate Percival as a main character. I think he's a fucking annoying little shit. I do not like him. I think he is cringe. I am putting this... It's kind of debatable between The Witcher, where Witcher, I think, it's like, it's an hour of your time gone to the wind. You have to sit and watch the Four Nights of Apocalypse, and it has, like, one cool fight scene, and that's it. And then you have to sit with the rest of it, right? I just can't be bothered. Alright. We have our worsts of the year, and if you know anything about me, you probably already know which one is the worst of the year, and we're gonna just get the second worst of the year to the way. It is Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry is a franchise, a video game franchise that I'm not, like, super in-depth. Like, I have not played the games, and I, like, all the way, like, I have not franchised the game, I have not series played through the games, I'm kind of familiar with the games. I am not in love with the games, I just know the franchise, I know the characters, and I have watched the anime, and I'm telling you, the anime is fucking trash. It is not written in the best of faith. It is not meant to be a realistic, it is not meant to be a loving adaptation to the games, it's not meant to be a love letter of the games. It is meant, in my opinion, to be, hey, I want to put my OC, this rabbit badass character, into this world of Devil May Cry and have inconsistent writing of the Devil May Cry characters. Dante, at one point, will be the most badass motherfucker in the world, and then he'll get one-shotted by a low-level demon. For no fucking reason, but he has to be that. Rather than be a badass wisecracker like he is in the game, he'll just be a Deadpool ripoff, right? He'll just straight up be a Deadpool ripoff 99% of the time and just be fucking cringe as hell to like the writing. I will say this, the VAs are trying their ass off, and I genuinely think it is the script they were given that was ass, right? I do not think it was, honest to God, the VA's fault. It sounds to me like it was the honest to God writing team behind it. It does not follow, as far as I understand, any of the games to a T. If you have heard anything about the game, how the anime is written, they do a lot of character assassination. There is one character who is written to such a fucking poor degree, and that is Lady, who is a lot of people's favorite because she is a goddamn badass in the games, and she's one of my favorite characters, and she has just done so goddamn poorly in this. A lot of people point at Virgil and say Virgil is done fine. I think that Virgil is kind of left on the table like a wet sack of shit, and that Virgil can be done so much better than what they did in here. There is no reason to watch this, right? I think for some people, they're like, hey, well, if you never played Devil May Cry, this is a good way to get into this. And I said, no, it's not. It's going to give you the wrong impression of what Devil May Cry is all about. Go watch a fucking compilation of all the cutscenes on YouTube. Then you'll know what Devil May Cry is versus this bullshit, right? This is not it, Chief. I do not think this is good. I know this is not the first anime that has come out of Devil May Cry, but this is definitely one of the worst, I think. I also think that the animation is not great. I think it was made roughly by the same studio that did the original Castlevania series, like the first seasons, but it has the same choppiness that came with like the Blood of Zeus, you know, where it's not fully animated. There are like noticeable frame breaks, and for something that is supposed to be super fast paced like Devil May Cry combat, it does not work, right? It looks terrible. Do not watch, do not redeem, not worth it. All right. And to no surprise to anyone who has heard me bitch, the worst anime I saw this year is absolutely One Punch Man Season 3. This thing is a fucking travesty. The only reason it is not rated a 1 is because there are some episodes that have promise, and that is it. I do not know how the fuck they have screwed this one up so bad. I look at Season 2, and I look at Season 2 as like, Season 2 was very bad. I watched Season 3 as a hate watcher, and I'm telling you, I was too harsh on Season 2. There are baffling design decisions in Season 3 that don't make any sense. There is little to no animation 99% of the time. Everyone seeing the meme about Garu sliding down the hill, where they literally just took the character and moved him down the hill. I'm going to try my best to find some sort of GIF out there, because it's also worth mentioning that any video clip you find of this shit is going to get you fucking destroyed, because they do not want you showing this shit anywhere. They don't exist on YouTube because you will get fucking destroyed. To be fair, that's kind of how it's always been with One Punch Man clips, but they definitely have taken it up a notch for Season 3 because they know the level of hate they are getting for this. Sliding. This one's a famous one, right? So you're going to look at this and be like, Jason, this is just a GIF. It's a very low frame GIF. This is actually what they put in the fucking show. That is inexcusable. And that's not just a one-time thing, chat. There are so many different like that. There is, let me see if I can find it. There is a scene in One Punch Man Season 3 where they have directly ripped from the manga where the frame ends, and one of the characters' heads is cut off because they have just ripped the frame. Atomic Samurai hair. Yeah, perfect. That frame cut off is because that is where the panel was in the manga, chat. I shit you not. Did I just lose my entire tier list? Oh no, I did. Give me a second. 1 second, let me get... Oh fuck, oh I messed up. There we go. Oh, are we crashing? Oh, dog, okay, we're good. Let me get all of the anime back, and I'll put them back. Or at least we'll do the top. We'll do what we need to do, right? Ah, fuck. I'll do it at a later time, right? No, I gotta do it now. Damn it. I can't believe I made the rookie mistake of accidentally dragging. Damn it. 1 second, please. Technical difficulties. But what you saw here is literally the frame in which, like, they cut off the manga because that's where the panel ended, right? I'm trying to see. There's also other ones where there was a recent scene where this guy has a fight with one of the most intense antagonists in the fucking show, where you're supposed to get a fight that has, it's really hard to see, but visuals like this, you don't. You get a PowerPoint. I shit you not, there's also a frame where Genos turns. And you might be thinking, oh, Jason, he's just turning around, right? How bad could it be? It is a noticeable 3 frames. He goes this to this to this. And I'm giving you more movement frames than what was there. I shit you not, he goes from facing the door, facing left to facing you, and you see every frame there. What is wild is that they were not without a budget. They did not have the budget of a ham sandwich. They had a fuckload of a budget. Bandai Namco knows how good this property is to them. They know it is a beloved property, and they have just shit out bad season after bad season after bad season, and no one can explain why it's that way. There has been a reaction that has been like, oh, hey, stop hating on it because otherwise you're never going to see a season 4. And it's like, good, we shouldn't see a season 4 if this is the kind of shit we're going to get. I'm genuinely baffled. Like, hey, I don't think anyone wants to see a season 4 if this is what we're expecting to get. Give me a second while I put everything back. I gotta rewind the fucking clip so I can get... And you're probably wondering, well, Jason, then why isn't the lowest rank possible? Because there are some episodes in here where you can tell someone wants to do so good by the franchise. Someone on that animation team is like, please, God, let me animate more than 3 frames, dog. Let me do my job. Let me not be fucking beholden to this wasteland that is One Punch Man Season 3. I do not want to be known as the guy who was on One Punch Man Season 3, dog. And you can tell that he is trying his heart out, because you get some episodes where the frames, it's not nearly like Season 1 level. Don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying like, hey, you're going to see that level of animation ever again. Clearly, they don't give a flying fuck about that. But they're going to keep you wanting... They're going to keep you guessing. I know that right now they have officially said, hey, we're going to give you a... Okay, let's see. We're going to do a part 2 to this because we need more time to this. And good, they should take more time to this because it's a fucking disaster of how it's turned out thus far, right? All right, give me a second. I have all the images back. I need to put them back in their order. You go there, you go there. You go there. I'm trying to get the order right because I'm a fucking stickler for that. My apologies, chat. No worries, I have nowhere to be. What? Alright, I think we're back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Alright, we're back. Alright. Home. So from what I understand is that they are taking a break to do a part 2. I'm hoping they take the time needed, and it's going to be in 2027 is when they release part 2. I hope they clean up the animation, because I know there is a big fight that is supposed to occur in the latter half of this. Please, almighty God, give them the time they need to cook. If it gets to level season 2, it needs to be, I'll take that, dog, because this is probably one of the worst things I have ever seen on animation wise. I'm here for the hate watch, and I fully admit to being a hate watcher, dog. I wish, if you love One Punch Man, stop after season 1. Read the manga. The manga looks so much better. The visuals are better than the fucking animation. You get the same level of animation as if you went through the manga and went and page flipped it. I'm not even fucking joking. It is appalling how they did this. All right. Let's post another question in the chat, because we are going to move into the top 5 best of the year. And this one is a freebie for you all. And that is, who is your favorite villain in all of anime? Mine, I think, has to be fucking Frieza. I love Frieza so goddamn much, dog. I fucking love Frieza. Frieza is my dog. Frieza is my ride or die. And you guys are saying on which anime have I not seen. Everyone voted Summertime Rendering. All right. All right. These are the top 5. Let's start with number 5, which is the one I kind of said, like, hey, this is the one I can easily recommend for people, even if they haven't seen anything else of it. And that's going to be Castlevania Nocturne. Season 1 of Nocturne. And the visuals are outstanding, right? So I went from all 4 seasons of Castlevania, the first part. I loved... Season 1 was a very brief. I liked it a lot. Great concept. Season 2, I think, is a masterpiece in every... Yeah, Season 2. Season 2's the fight with Dracula is a masterpiece. I stand by that. I think it's a fucking masterpiece. Season 3, I think, is rough around the edges, but not terrible. Season 4 is good, has some rougher parts to it. I think the animation's a little lacking, is a little choppy, has some issues. None of those issues are present in Nocturne. Nocturne kicks it up, says, here's Richter Belmont, all the fucking blue fire you want. And here is what you want, right? We can tell Richter is fucking strong. He is cocky. He is in character, right? He is exactly what you want. The riders are back. Every VA they did, every redesign of the character they did is great. I love everything they do about this one. It is easy as shit. You don't have to be familiar with Castlevania lore to know what you're getting into with Nocturne. You don't have to see the original 4 seasons. I can put Nocturne on and you'll be like, shit, this thing slaps hard as fuck. It's also worth mentioning, we came from the Castlevania series. We know Rondo of Blood. We know how Dracula X is. So coming into this, it's like, god damn, it's a fresher breath air to see these characters be as cool as they are, and the expansion of some of the lore, where some of these characters are literally paper-thin characters. Like, here's this character that in the original games is Richter's girlfriend. That's their entire role that they play. In this one, they are a badass. They are their own fair form of a vampire killer. Awesome. Here's this fucking side boss you've never seen before. Fuck it. They're a god. Fuck them. I think... if I had to say some of my cons I did have with Season 1 here, is that you can tell they want to crescendo so badly to the hype that Season 2 of the original series had. Where everyone kind of, who has seen the original series of Castlevania knows what I'm talking about with the final fight between Alucard and Dracula in Season 2. Everyone has classified that as like kind of out of nowhere, beautiful masterpiece that kind of put Castlevania on the map as a, hey, they know how to tell a story. They know how to write a very complex relationship to a high degree. And you can tell they really want to do that in Nocturne. But I don't think it ends up working out super well for them. I think it ends up being like, it's kind of black or white. You know, it's kind of, it's like, hey, it's supposed to be in the gray. It's like, no, it's kind of obvious which side is kind of evil and good in this one. It's the one that's trying to save the people is the good side, and they try to argue for the vampires. It's like, hey, the vampires need to survive. It's like, they're killing everyone, dog. The fuck are you on about? It's like, but if I don't, I die. It's like, you're the one who got yourself into this problem. I think everything about this one, the expansion upon the characters, voice acting, the writing, everything is fantastic. The visuals, I love it. I did not get into Season 2 right away. I am hanging on to it for 2026 because I do want to play through a little bit more of the Castlevania games, because I know right after the next season of Nocturne, we don't have anything. We are bone dry on the Castlevania anime titty. I really hope they adapt Symphony of the Night next. I don't think they will. I really hope they do. But please keep cooking. This is very, very, very good. Keep it coming. I think it's a lot easier to introduce someone to Castlevania Nocturne than it is the season 2 of Dress Up Darling. Next is another season 2, and that is Dan to Dan season 2. I loved Dan to Dan season 1. I thought it was quirky. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was funny. I thought it was great. It was a great time. I went into it thinking it was going to be overhyped, and I walked away being just fucking happy, you know. Oh, wait. Did I do it out of order? I think I did. Yes, I did. It's actually Psycho-Pass. Fuck you. It's Psycho-Pass. Psycho-Pass is, imagine if Monster, Minority Report, and Edge Runners had a baby, and that is this baby. Psycho-Pass is an older style franchise where the idea is a sleuth. You are along for a ride about this gigantic overarching mystery of, hey, your personality, your thoughts are all kind of being monitored, and the more you step outside of what's the culturally acceptable norm of your personality and your thoughts towards violence and crime index, you are labeled, which is in term as a psychopath, which is your measure of your psychology. The more you get outside of that norm, the more you have to be treated, and the police basically come after you, hence the Minority Report reference, right? And what you follow is a group of inspectors and basically hunters. The inspectors are the police force who stay within the lines of their psychopath levels being healthy. They're not really bothered by it, and they never go psycho, right? And the hunters are those, whether they originally cops, they are essentially people who psychopath is clouded. They have at one point had a healthy psychopath, but it diverged into the unhealthy level for one reason or another. But they have chosen to work with the law to help the law bring other people who have probably unhealthy, either super unhealthy levels of psychopaths back into the law, right? It's a really, really cool concept that I'm not doing super good justice to. And here is Shanks. Oh.
You didn't show him yesterday, so I wanted to show him today.
He's sleepy. He doesn't like being up here.
Oh, but I love you.
It's basically, I really do like the theory behind it. I know there's more than just this original series. There's a ton to this. I simply watched this original 10 Psychopaths because this is really what you originally got was Psychopaths, right? And you got this overarching main antagonist that is a fun one to follow, and he has an edgelord's philosophy because everyone back then had to have an edgelord's philosophy. But it does stand out that does work for this character. He is an edgelord, but he's not this too edgy 5me kind of character. It does work for this world, right? And the trick is that his psychopath is kind of hard to read. I'm not going to spoil too much, but it is an incredibly difficult situation. He's not just talking the talk, he is walking the walk. And it does harken back to the main villain of Monster quite a bit, and it's really done well. I also really love how the world is built. You're in this weird cyberpunk techno future, but it's a lot more modern, where it's like, hey, people still have jobs, and they still have to test for these jobs, and they have to have good psychopath levels to get to these jobs. Where, hey, all of these cases also build up to the main overarching plotline. You might think it's a case of the week kind of style. It's not. They all build up to the main plotline. And a lot of the time, these cases do have a shitload of tension, and you are kind of on the edge of your seat saying, what the fuck happens next? What the fuck will happen next? It's a really good feeling to have, and it does harken back to what Monster did super well. I will say this to me. Some of the negatives I did have about this was the ending is not great in my opinion. I think the ending is kind of a wet fart. I know there's tons of sequels that probably rectify that, and I had a feeling that they were kind of writing for a sequel near the end, because when I got near the end, I think it was one episode, I was like, they have to have a sequel for this, because it does not feel like they're going to finish it up in one episode, right? It's about a 20 to 30 minute episode. There's no way they finish it up without rushing, right? There are also some characters in the show that get tons and tons and tons of character exploration. You can tell which ones are the writer's favorites, and some get like a fucking minute, and that's really about it, right? They don't get any exploration, if at all, and that's all you get for them, right? I imagine in the sequel series they probably get a little bit more exploration, but I think if we're judging it on base what I saw, I think you could definitely do a little bit more in-depth exploration of some characters and a lot less of others, right? And it's not this, and that's because the characters are interesting. Each one you get to meet on the squad are interesting. I just wish that they spent more time on each one of them appropriately, right? I think it does blend a lot of the elements of the ones I referenced super well. But I think it has the classic trope of, hey, near the end, it stumbles. It has a sequel, tons of sequels things out there. But I don't think it's a critical fumble. I think you can watch this and be very okay with the ending. I'm okay with the ending. I think it's a wet fart, but I'm not interested in watching anything else. I could satisfy myself saying, hey, it's an ending. It does round out the story. There's more to be explored for certain, right? I understand why people really do like this one. All right. Actually, that is a great. All right, now we can talk about Dan to Dan Season 2. As I was saying, I get, because these two are like neck and neck for me, and personally. Dan to Dan Season 2 is more goofiness, more cheesiness, more silly, but it fucking adds one of the best villains in the overall series, in my opinion, which is Evil Eye. Evil Eye is so goddamn menacing. He is a fucking threat for like the first half of the series, or first half of the season, and he's like a lingering threat for the final remainder of the season, where they're not just writing him off, they have to deal with his dumbass the entire goddamn time. They kind of figure something out in true Dan to Dan fashion that's humorous, but he's a fucking threat, and he is a goddamn menace. His fight scene's fucking cool as shit. I also really do like how creative everything about this animation style is. They are constantly blending how they show animation. At one point, there is a actual real-life photo of a hot pot they are using to show food. Like, it's not an animation, it is a real-life Photoshop photo of a hot pot in the anime. They do a lot of 3D rotoscoping. They do a lot of hand-drawn shit. It is super unique how they always are trying to change up their animation style to just show you everything. There is a music number in episode 6, as well as a character reaction that is hilarious and absolutely a banger, and is probably one of my favorite moments in the entire series thus far. And if you know, you know. If I had to say some of my minor complaints with this season, it is that I think they dialed back quite a bit on the comedic aspects of the entire series in this one. It focuses a little bit more on tropey romantic cliches, which they're not weak at, right? They're not done, it's not like weak aspects like I said in Witch Watch. They're done very well here, but it still falls into like this essentially cliche, like, hey, Ayasaka is working at a maid cafe. Okurun's gonna see her in a maid outfit, he's gonna get flustered. It's like, I understand that happens in the manga, but why? Why do we need this? I don't get it. I don't understand why we need this. It's kind of weird to see this. And it does capture, this whole romance thing is building throughout the entirety of this season, and it's done super well. It does capture the idea of this really blossoming young love and how the two interact with it. One of them is very headstrong and addresses it very forward, and the other one doesn't at all. The action is good, the soundtrack is good, the visuals are outstanding. If you liked Dan to Dan, this is a solid upgrade from Season 1 to Season 2. I don't think it ends off on a weird cliffhanger like Season 1 did. It definitely ends on a note, I'll say that, but it's not to the weirdness that Season 1 ended. I'm pretty sure they immediately announced a Season 3 because everyone loves Dan to Dan. It's going to keep going and going and going. So I'm glad to see that it is like getting more and more love. I think they're going to keep cooking and they're going to keep experimenting with animation techniques, and that's what I'm going to be here for. Alrighty. We have Apothecary Diary Season 2 and Evangelion 2.0 You Cannot Advance. I'm going to post the very last question, and then we will talk and yap about our shit. Reviewing what you guys said about who's your favorite villain, we have Hecate St. Carmilla from Castlevania. She is a very good villain. I do love her a lot. Askeladd from Vinland Saga. Is Askeladd really... I guess he is a villain. He's also like a mentor, you know? And then Wish saying, I don't really like villains, antagonists, yes, but villains in anime make me angry. I just want to punch him. You like Frieza. You admitted you like Frieza. Frieza's so evil. He's over the top evil, dog. Like, there is no point where you're like, Frieza's in the right. He's just evil. And he does not give a fuck. All right, final question of the night. And that is, what is my favorite fight scene in anime? This one's a controversial one for a lot of you, because... Okay, Frieza is fine. Yeah. Everyone likes Frieza. So option A, speaking of which, is Goku, Frieza, and 17 versus Jiren from Dragon Ball Super. This is the last fight in Dragon Ball Super, I believe. Then you have Tanjiro and Uzui versus Gyutaro from Demon Slayer Season 2 or the Entertainment District arc, whatever you want to call it. That's the one where, like, I would argue that Askeladd is a villain since he did kill the father that started this whole thing. True, but I think part of the idea of Season 2 is Thorfinn accepting the fact that he's actually the one who instigated this whole thing and accept responsibility for it, right? That he wanted to be a warrior so damn bad, he kind of caused a lot of what's in motion, right? And accepting that, at the end of the day, it is somewhat his fault. Then you have Saitama versus Genos from One Punch Man Season 1. And then option D... Oh, we already know... Yes. Cell versus Gohan. I'm going to put Teen Gohan, just in case there's a little weirdness there. Teen Gohan from the original DBZ. So which one of these is my favorite anime, fight in anime? Alright. Let's get into the final two anime. So we'll put... I'll show you which one is number 2 and 1, and we'll talk about 2, and then 1 will take a little bit, right? I want to say that these two were neck and neck for me, right? These both are extremely, very, 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 very good, right? I gushed about both of these for hours, right? I think you can easily watch both. I think that they are masterclasses in what both of them do, and I cannot really find many flaws in either one. I think I have concerns about them because they are both season 2 or a sequel to something that's like, hey, am I gushing because I already know about what happens prior or the original series, etc., etc. But I genuinely kind of come to the opinion that, no, I genuinely do think both of these are the best of the best, right? Apothecary Diaries is my second favorite, and I think my anime of the year is going to go to Evangelion 2.0, You Can Not Advance. So let's start with Apothecary Diaries Season 2. Apothecary Diaries Season 1 for me came out of fucking nowhere. It blends Detective Conan, and Sherlock with Dr. House, right? Sounds like a weird kind of typical anime shtick, but it has the most gorgeous animation that I think is out there currently in its field. I say that saying I saw Demon Slayer Infinity Castle, I fucking saw Bond, I saw Dan to Dan, I saw Castlevania. I think that Apothecary Diaries does trump them 100% of the time. It has an overarching plot that is extremely intriguing, that will get you on your edge and wanting more and more. It has action sequences that can, at points, rival that of Kingdom, right? There are gigantic wars that will occur in this series. It has characters that really make you think, okay, they're silly and goofy, but they're goddamn, they can be intimidating as fuck when they want to be. They have a romance angle, which is probably one of the more primary aspects of the entire series, that is extremely interesting to follow, and the repercussions that it has with its politics. And I know some of you are going to go, politics. And I've said this before, where in some cases, doing a political intrigue and doing a romance at the same time, it is very easy to fuck up the political intrigue and very easy to do a romance. This one nails both of them and actually intertwines them extremely goddamn well. And it also has fan service for the ladies. You're going to get a very handsome man in this one. You are going to love the fuck out of Jinshi. And for my guys, there are big titty consorts. You're going to see lots of big titty consorts, right? It has some of the best characters in it that I have seen written. There is not exactly a clear bad guy until near the end of the season, and each one of them has their motive. And the person that is there to be the bad guy is one of those that is so bad, they are enjoyably bad, right? They are the Frieza of it, and they get their comeuppance really fucking fast, and it is satisfying. Mao Mao as an MC is one of my favorite MCs, I think, in all of anime, because she is almost Senku level of just knowing everything, but also being smart enough to know when to shut the fuck up because she knows she is not going to be excluded from the power dynamic where Senku does not give a fuck. She knows she has to play it smart if she wants to survive in the Rear Jade Palace, right? She knows she has to play it smart. And then you have Jinshi, who is this eccentric guy who has to play it cool, but is at heart a silly, goofy little dude, right? And it works super well. The humor in the season is fantastic. The threat is real. The romance is kicked up a notch. And the fangirling is to a T, right? There are elements in here that had me on the edge of my seat, even though I knew what was going to happen next, because it's not super hard to guess what happens. And that's kind of one of my minor complaints, is it's kind of easy to know what happens next, but they do it in such a way where it's a visual treat, to say the least, right? I think that's my, like, only minor complaint. That was, like, my only minor complaint is it is kind of easy to guess what happens next. But I'm also one of those people who has consumed vast amounts of this media and kind of knows what happens next, right? I am very excited to see Season 3 because I want more Detective Mao Mao solving these weird as fuck house cases, right? I want to see more of the emotional entanglement that she has as she kind of figures out, hey, I am this emotionally attached medical professional that needs to open up a little bit more on the emotional side and understand these people around me. Otherwise, one, there'll be consequences, and two, I do desire this emotional connection with these people around me. Because it's really easy for her to be like, I'm the smartest person in the entire goddamn universe. She doesn't do that. She understands her shortcomings as an MC, which is a lot better than 99% of everyone on this fucking list. What's up? Okay. So, I think if I was going to recommend one anime to anyone on here, besides Evangelion gushing, if you've never seen anything, Apothecary Diaries is the one I have recommended to almost anyone as like a starter anime. It is very easy to get into. It is a great choice. Mao Mao is a really hard MC to beat. She's a fantastic addition to like the best girl squad, right? And it's also one of those things that it's not overly sexualized in any facet of the way. There are plenty of jokes, but you also have to understand this is the setting is this Chinese dynasty where the ideas are trying to produce an heir, and she is an apothecary who is trying to help produce an heir amongst the consorts, right? But she herself is not an overly sexually designed. In fact, she desires to be the least sexually attractable object in the entire goddamn place. She helps concubines, right? It is hilariously done to a very fun angle, right? So it's one of those where it's not gross, it's not weird, it is intelligently done, and I'm excited to see more of it. It's beautifully well done. Highly recommend it. All right. For my anime of the year, we're going to gush about Evangelion 2.0, You Cannot Advance, right? Once again, what I said about Evangelion 1.0, I am coming in as a person who knows the original series, who has seen 1.0, and has to ask myself, do I like this because I know where I'm coming from, and I know what I'm looking for? Actually, I got the order of this. This is 2.0, this is 1.0. Because there's the new character right here. This one is the latter half of the original series, so this is before they would get the new plot elements. And it's rewritten a ton. They also expand on a lot. For instance, Asuka is introduced in a completely different way that is a lot better for her character. I loved Asuka in the original. I think her character introduction is hilarious, and it fits her tsundere type personality really well. In this one, it fits her a lot better. She's much more of a menacing badass than she is. She fucking has aura the minute she fucking walks in. I also love the fact that, hey, they're showing that they are a pretty tight-knit group, even though they don't really want to be. They also expand on the lore a lot more. In the original Evangelion, it's kind of mentioned here and there. It's more like weirdly name-dropped, and you're expected to kind of dig into freeze frame if you want to get better lore. In this one, they explain a little bit about, hey, this is what happened, and this is what... They even sit you down at one point and say, very early in the series, this is what happens, this is why we're doing what we're doing. Right? And god damn, did it work out in their fucking favor a lot more this time. The budget also seemed to me got a lot more love than it did in the first film. There's a lot more redesigns. There's a lot more better animation. Where I said the animation where it's not in the fight scenes is a little switchy between like, it's kind of shit to it's really good. It's just good in this one. You'll never see it not be bad. You'll never see it be bad in this one, in my opinion. The OST, once again, goated. One thing that I never understood in the original is this idea that Asuka and Shinji have this really deep romantic relationship. They are kids, so take it with a grain of salt. Listen to Anime Talk has made me want to go watch Wano, so I think all right, see you, Wist. Where in this one, you kind of understand that relationship a lot better. They show how the two do kind of codepend on each other, how they are very, very similar, and that causes a lot of friction between the two. They also don't wait to kind of deeper dive on Asuka's lore. They kind of get it up front and say, hey, this is what's wrong with Asuka. This is the trauma she's bringing with her. And it shows, hey, her and Shinji aren't really compatible because Shinji's not willing to really work on himself and move past his issues this early into the fucking game, right? Because as we saw in the first movie, he's kind of distancing himself, and because he has a squad, he's still not really willing to fucking put himself out there. And it works super duper duper well. There is also a couple of redos of fight scenes. There's a Unit 3 versus Unit 1 scene. I'm not going to get into spoilers of how exactly it's redone. I think the writing, how they redid this one, is a lot better and adds a ton more weight and really hits you kind of in the feels in this one versus how it did in the original. In the original, it's like, yeah, it sucks to be Shinji. He's going through it's rough. Insert Shinji sitting in chair meme gif. In this one, it hurts, especially seeing that at this point in the movie, he is starting to put himself out there, and he kind of gets punched right back into that box really fast with the unfortunate thing here. I will address the elephant in the room that is the new character they introduced, which is Mari. I was extremely worried about her inclusion into this, and because she is an original character that is into these rebuild franchises, and I was really worried about her inclusion into this, that she'd be feeling like a fanfiction ride-in character that came out of nowhere and has really nothing to do with this. I think she actually really does fit into the story so far. She is not this weird character that is just like lovey-dovey interacting with these characters, like, look at me, I'm this fucking go-getter, I love Shinji, I love Asuka kind of shit. She is a good balance between Shinji's understanding side and this tenacity that Asuka has of being the best Evangelion pilot that there is. She wants to fight, she's willing to buck authority to fight, but she also is this person who wants to desire to connect with people, understand them, but she's a fucking weirdo and she doesn't really understand how to understand people, right? So she has her own inability, and thus she has her own flaws, which is how you write a fucking original character and insert her into this weird little world. It also helps take the edge off of two, to some people, dislikable characters, which are Shinji and Asuka. It really balances us out super duper duper well. I also think that I think this one's roughly 2 hours again, is that the pacing in this one is so much better than it was in one, as well as in the original show. It does show, it condenses a lot of the latter half of the original show into this one, and cuts a lot of stuff out that doesn't need to be in here, and adds stuff in that really, really gets the depth of these characters into you a lot more. You actually begin to connect with these characters. You feel for Shinji, you feel for Rei, you feel for Asuka, and you feel for the original Mari character. Because they are written very well. You want them to succeed. You want them to go past their trauma. You don't just want them to get in the fucking robot, Shinji. Get in the fucking robot, Asuka. Beat the fuck out of the angels. You understand them a little bit better. And you understand why they do what they do. And you want them to get past their trauma because of the way they're written better in this one. I think if this was going to be, like, if I wanted to show one person the ultimate piece of Evangelion media, this would be it, right? Now, I am a fan of Evangelion, so it's very, very, very hard to kind of say, hey, can you watch this without watching part one? No, you fucking cannot. You need to watch the first movie. However, do I think you can watch 1 and 2 without watching the series? This proves you fucking can, because this is better than I think the series. Do I like it more than I like the series? I think the series is more important to who as a person I am for certain, but god damn, this is fucking fantastic. This is an amazing fucking addition to the entire franchise, and I'm so happy we got this, right? I think overall, like, hey, if it wasn't for the original series that was deeply, deeply flawed at the end, we wouldn't have these, right? And I'm very thankful for them. But if I was going to say, hey, if someone came up to me and say, I want to get into Evangelion, where do I start? I'd say definitely watch the movies. Like, watch 1 and 2. If you like 1 and 2, watch the original series, watch the movie that followed the original series, and then watch the 3 and 4, because they are an offshoot. I have not watched 3 and 4. I don't know if they fuck up. From what I understand, they don't. I think, from what I understand, they actually expand, and they add a very nice ending to the entire bow. Don't think they're going to ruin what I think is a redux of the series to me. I think this is the quintessential piece. If I had one tiny nitpick for this, it would be that there is a middle act that tends to slow down a little bit, but that's not bad at all because it allows you to connect emotionally with these characters, which some would say you lack because these are movies versus the show, right? In the show, you have like 24 to 26 episodes to connect with these characters, and at points you fail to do so because they're kind of annoying to connect with. Versus in the movie, they have to slow down the pacing at points for you to get to that. And it does it fantastically. If I was going to recommend Evangelion, watch the first 2 movies because they do a great job. The action is great. There is an action scene in 2 that I very much watch pretty much daily because it's so well choreographed that it is insane. Overall, chat, that is the anime I watched in 2025. We had one of the worst I've ever seen and some of the best I've ever seen, in my opinion. Let us tally up your guys' fucking answers and see who gets 1 year of Crunchyroll. All right. Which anime have I said is flawed but is one of my favorites? The answer is Neon Genesis Evangelion. It is deeply flawed in its ending, and it has some issues, but it is one of my favorites for its aesthetic as well as the idea behind it. And it looks like the Great Finn is the one who got that one correct. Congratulations. Question 2, which part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure do I like the least? And no one got that one right. A majority of you said it was part 1, which is Phantom Blood. I actually dislike part 4, Diamond is Unbreakable, the most. I think it is the sloggiest of the slog. All right, freebie. It looks like every one of you get a point. You love to see it. Everyone gets a point on that one. What is my favorite One Piece arc? The answer is, indeed, it is Marineford. I love Marineford. Wano is a very, very close second. The pacing is unfortunately what kills it versus Marineford. I love every episode of Marineford. I think Wano can be trimmed up very, very nicely. The Great Finn is the one who got that one correct. Congratulations, The Great Finn. What was the worst anime of 2024? It was indeed Demon Slayer Season 4 Hashira Training Arc. And Hecate, you got that one correct. It was by far and away the worst one of 2024 because it was literally, I think, less than a chapter inside of the manga, and it showed. The freebie was, what anime do you wish would get a sequel or a new season? We saw Whist and Hecate answer that. Castlevania and a redux of One Piece. I'm sure we'll be getting that here soon. I asked you all, which of these animes have I not seen? You all got it correct. I have not seen Summertime Rendering. I really do want to see it, but as far as I understand, it is locked behind Disney Plus, which is cringe. So you all got a point on that one. Good to see. Good to see. Freebie, which is what is your favorite anime villain? You all answered. Good on you all. And then, what was my favorite fight scene in anime? This one was very spread across the board. The answer is Goku, Frieza, and 17 versus Jiren. I adore that scene. It is probably one of the best things that came out of Dragon Ball Super, in my opinion. I love it because otherwise that last arc is horrible to get through. But yes, that is my favorite, and that goes to Sarah. She got that one, or Whist. Let me go ahead and add this up. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. All right, we do have a winner by 1 point, and the winner is the goddess Hecate. Zach, you came in a very, very close second. If you had answered one of the freebies, you would have won, dog. You would have tied. You would have tied, dog. Damn. Hate to see it. Hecate wins by 1 point. Hecate, that means you win a 1-year subscription to Crunchyroll. Let me know when works best for you to give you that digital online code, and we will get that to you. I hope you enjoy watching anime. I think last year the winner was Ben. Ben, I think, ran with that shit and watched a fuckload. I highly, highly recommend checking out the Apothecary Diaries on there. If you haven't, I would recommend also checking out My Dress Up Darling. There's I'm opening up my list entirely in its entirety. Bocchi the Rock, I recommend. I love Bocchi the Rock. It's a good one. Cowboy Bebop's on Netflix. Give Cowboy Bebop a watch. And then, yeah. Those are... Bocchi the Rock is a good one for anyone who has social anxiety. It is so fucking funny. It is a very tongue-in-cheek anything for social anxiety. We enter our anime era this year. Hell yeah. I actually am... I watched a lot more... like movies and live action and documentaries this year than I did anything else. So like I got into like The Wire, I got into The Sopranos, and I watched a ton more documentaries than I did anime and anime movies this year. All right, chat. That is everything wrapped up for this year in 2025. We streamed a shitload. I think we streamed less than we did in 2024, but we did stream a fuckload in 2025. As far as what does 2026 look like for us, I think we are going to be dialing back how much we do stream in 2026 quite a bit. If you don't know, I am in the process of currently designing and building my own home. I also have a full-time job I work at. I have a lot going on in my real life. And sometimes deciding if I'm going to relax for the night after a very long and stressful day or streaming is not simpatico. I think what you might see more often is kind of what I did a couple weeks ago, which is, hey, it's just a one-off stream. Come join if you have time. We're going to be fucking rocking out to Risk of Rain 2. Or very just low-key, not playing streams. How dare you have a life outside? I know. A streamer with an actual 9 to 5? Impossible. But I do plan on finishing our Castlevania series. I think this week alone, I'm taking off. I need a break from just everything. So I'm going to take a break. I am off work. I'm going to take this time to relax, to connect with my family, and to kind of just get some shit done that I need to get done. And then we'll enter in 2026 with a refreshed look. We'll finish up some Castlevania stuff, and then we'll just kind of take it from there. All right. Every year I always say, like, hey, we're going to play less games and watch less anime, but you never know, right? I have already played one game for this year. I played Shape of Dreams. We played the demo on stream. It's very, very fun. But yeah, I hope you all have a strong start to 2026. I hope your 2025 was very accomplished, whatever the fuck that means. I hope you had a good 2025. I know a lot of people look back at their last year of, thank God it's over, but... yeah, I don't know. If you keep looking at years like that, it's kind of always a negative mindset. It's very easy to focus on negative shit, I find, than look at positives, and I fall into that trap 99% of the time too. And I've tried to kind of let that go as like life events have happened in my life where I've had to kind of examine what I care about the most and what I need to linger on. So I've kind of reordered it so where I'm trying to be a more, at the very minimum, neutral person rather than negative, right? Because going from negative to positive is very hard. That being said, I hope you guys have a great start to the new year. I hope whatever resolution, if you do that shit, comes true, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I will catch you guys next week on the flip side. We will probably be finishing up Symphony of the Night, and we'll go from there. Thank you all so much for watching and supporting. I really appreciate it. Hope this year was great, and have a great night. See ya.